Everyone ready? Good evening and welcome to the West Hartford Board of Education regular meeting for tonight, which is Tuesday, November 19th, and I will ask Cammie to do the roll call.
Mrs. Aronson,
Present.
Mrs. Blanks,
Here?
Mr. Levine,
Here.
Mr. Paul Uke,
Here.
Mrs. Poland,
Here.
Dr. Thomas Farquharson,
Here.
Mr. Zdanowicz, Kenya Ferreira,
Here.
Isabella Gom.
Here.
Thank you, Cammie, and I'll ask Isabella to lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item on the agenda is a revision to agenda order, and it is the recommendation that the order of the agenda be changed to put the following agenda items before unfinished business, which is the recognition of outgoing board members, induction of newly elected board members, then we'll do a brief recess. New board members will take seats at the board table, and then they'll have election of officers and board organizations. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I'm going to assume there's no discussion or questions. So all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. We will have student participation this evening from the Wolcott National Neighborhood Day, Wolcott Elementary School. So I'm going to welcome our students up to the table.
Carol, you want to see if parents want to come up here?
Oh, yes, for any parents or other relatives, siblings in the audience, feel free to come up behind the board table if you wish to take pictures.
Thank you for having us this evening. Very excited to talk to you very briefly about what National Neighborhood Day was at Wolcott School. We have 3 Wolcott friends here this morning to tell you all about what we did and its impact. We have Susanna Hook, we have Kyle Lee, and we have Carla Garcia Leon, and also Ms. Cowan, our curriculum specialist for the District of Literacy and Social Studies. We frequently talk at Wolcott School how our school community is a diverse one and reflects not only West Hartford, but the community at large and our society. And one of our charges is to develop citizens. And what we've been focusing on this fall is the impact of the contributions that a neighbor can have on his or her community.
Good evening. Tonight we are going to talk to you about a really exciting event we held at Wolcott Elementary School. On September 16th, we celebrated National Neighborhood Day. We invited guest speakers to read us a very special book and even participated in community service projects to help others in need. We'll start by telling you how it all got started.
On January 19th of last year, teachers from Wolcott attended a book fair at Town Hall. Teachers from all 11 elementary schools looked through over 300 books featuring diverse characters. One of those books was Around Our Way on Neighbor's Day by Tamika Farrar Brown. Mr. Dunn loved this book. The illustrations were very colorful and would make a perfect addition to the murals already installed in our school's hallways.
This summer, our school artist Sherry Fitzpatrick got started. She worked with Mr. Dunn to pick out their favorite scenes from the book and paint them in our cafeteria walls.
Our school mascot, Buffy, even made it into the mural. It brightens up our cafeteria so much. But you may wonder how this mural was introduced to the students at Wolcott School.
On September 16th, Mr. Dunn and Mrs. Callan planned a National Neighborhood Day celebration at Wolcott School. The book Around Our Way on Neighbor's Day is about a girl who walks through her neighborhood and appreciates the people and places around her. This book fits perfectly with the mission of National Neighborhood Day.
Each grade level invited a guest speaker from our community to read Around Our Way on Neighbors Day. In front of our new mural in the cafeteria, after reading the book, each guest speaker told us about how they help people in our community. All of our speakers help Wolcott neighbors.
Lieutenant Judah talked to the kindergartners about what police officers do and how they keep our neighbors and neighborhoods safe.
Mrs. Rivera talked to the first graders about the Meals on Wheels program and how it helps get food to our elderly neighbors who need meals delivered to them.
Mr. Jakubowski talked to the second graders about food share and how it helps provide food to those who need it.
Mr. Phillips talked to the third graders about how the Public Works Department helps keep the Wolcott neighborhood safe and clean.
Dr. Haskins talked to us, the fourth graders, about her work with the EDC and how Wolcott's neighbors can help make our school an even, inclusive, and welcoming place.
Mr. Vicinas talked to the fifth graders about what it's like to be in the Army and how the military projects help people in our neighborhood. He even taught them an Army song. They loved it.
After hearing from our guest speakers, each grade level started a community service project.
Kindergarten collected dog and cat food to help the police department and animal control. They collected over 150 items.
The first graders created holiday cards. These cards would be sent to the elderly along with their Thanksgiving meals.
The second grade collected food for the West Hartford Food Pantry. Over 350 items were collected. Several young friends helped to sort, box, and label the donations to bring to the food pantry.
The third grade started Color Cycle in our school. Color Cycle is a marker recycling program. Used markers can be collected and turned into roofing shingles and energy.
The fourth grade got to create a video highlighting the languages spoken at Wolcott. We'll show this to you soon.
And the fifth grade wrote letters to men and women in the military through Operation Gratitude.
Wolcott's National Neighborhood Day celebration was covered by both WeHad.com and the Hartford Courant.
But the most exciting part of our National Neighborhood Day celebration is that Tamika Firebrand, the author of Around Our Way on Neighbors Day, called Wolcott School. She let us know how excited she was to see her book turn into a mural in our school community. Her publishing company even sent 40 books to Wolcott to add to our library collection. At our town meeting on October 11th, a video of gratitude by Mrs. Firebrand was played for the Wolcott community. She was so proud of us.
At Wolcott, we work hard each day to create a strong school community. This National Neighborhood Day celebration helped us to think about the people in our neighborhood community too. In her presentation, Dr. Haskins asked us all to repeat the following words: building community in every way, welcoming neighbors every day. We would like to end our presentation with a video that we created featuring all of the languages spoken at Wolcott. Wolcott School is a learning community where we treat each other like friends and neighbors.
Welcome to West Hartford. Please come into West Hartford. Walk ahead to West Hartford. Bienvenue to West Hartford. L'escavo próximo to West Hartford. Baru haba to West Hartford. Bari galus to West Hartford. Welcome to West Hartford. Bienvenido West Hartford.
So as you can see, our students and the staff at Wolcott really took the civics curriculum and made it come to life. We are really proud of our students here who put a lot of effort into getting ready for this presentation. We also wanted to acknowledge the parents who help support the students in all of these community service projects, bringing in food donations, pet food donations, encouraging kids to hold on to those use markers at home and then bring them into school for color cycle. And we also wanted to acknowledge the staff who, during the first week of school, we introduced this project to them. Crazy time of year to do it, but they jumped in with both feet and embraced this project. So we are really excited to be able to say that this is going to become an annual project for us. And next year, we're going to be focusing on writers in West Hartford and beyond.
Special thank you to Craig Diamond, who helped us with putting
The video.
together that video so beautifully. And a thank you to Kyle and Carla and also Susanna, whose birthday is today.
Yay.
Thank you. Any questions? Oh, Dave?
Did I hear that your school mascot made it into the mural?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Now, there was a picture. Do you think you could show me in the picture where the mascot is? It's Buffy? Buffy, right. Because I was looking and I couldn't
Anybody remember
see.
where he is?
Yeah,
Yeah, it is
Where
like
is
a
he,
Where's
Kyle?
Waldo.
He's in
I
the
think I
he's-
see her
he's in a window.
in the window up top above the door
Right
by
next to the clock?
exit sign.
There's a tiny little Buffy right in one of the windows.
That is so cool, guys. So it made it really personal for you, and I love what you guys did as far as bringing things and helping out the community and meeting people as well. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Anyone else? Thank you. This was a fantastic presentation. I love the video, and it's evident that you all put a lot of work, hard work into it, and it shows. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Next on the agenda is public communications. I didn't see anyone who signed up. Did I miss anyone? If anyone walked in after we started that wishes to have public comments? Okay, hearing none, we will move right to the recognition of outgoing board members. So we have the recognition of outgoing board member Carol A. Blanks, which is me, and the second one is recognition of outgoing board members Dave Palyuk.
I'll start if you want me to start. Are we doing one at a time? All right.
Up to you.
Well, I think that would be nice. I'll do both at the same time for efficiency. But Carol, I know I haven't served on the board with you as long as our other colleagues have, but I've learned a tremendous amount from you, and especially working with you behind the scenes on some of the details of preparing things. I just really admire and respect how thorough you are, how detailed you are, and just how much care you put into all that you do. You're a leader to admire, and I'm glad that I had a chance to serve with you. You're welcome. And Dave, I remember when I first met you, you were standing at Bugby School on my first day there as a parent, and every day since I've seen you sitting quietly in the back of different places around town, really observing and putting that boots on the ground time. And I certainly hope to keep that tradition going, and I really admire the way that you approach your work, and I'll miss you on the board. Thank you.
Carol, first I want to thank you for stepping up last year when it was something that needed to be done, and I don't know if that was a hard decision for you or an easy decision for you, but I think it's been a great run with having you as our chair. You are a steady, good listener. You are unflappable. and open-minded and respectful of all. And I think that's been very beneficial to have you here as our chair. So thank you. Dave, you are the board member I aspire to be. I don't know if everybody knows this. Amanda, you sort of hinted at this, but if a building is going to get a new boiler or a new set of locks or a new roof or a new playground or turf or anything, Dave's going to go take a look at it for himself. And it's not because you're trying to get in the newspaper or anything. It's because you want to learn about how we are improving our schools. If there's an international day, a book fair, a craft fair, anything, you're going to go and show up and meet the students and families of our schools. And I really respect that about you, and it's something I would really like to be able to do more myself. Also, Dave is hilarious. I don't know if everyone knows that about him. So thank you, and I look forward to staying in touch with you.
Carol, as we say farewell to you, but not goodbye, just see you later, just want to say thank you so much for all that you have done for the Board of Ed, but more importantly for supporting our young people in town and our town at large. You certainly have expressed a desire to not only help those who need support and help, but to help those that need support and help, certainly in terms of family engagement, family involvement. And you advocating for the voices of those that may feel as though they don't have a voice is certainly admirable and shows your sense of integrity and passion for what you do. So thank you so much for walking the talk, and very much wish you well in all of your endeavors. And for you, I just get to turn this way. For you, Dave, the same for you as well. Having had the chance to get to know you a little bit more while being on the board, I certainly echo the sentiments that have been shared beforehand. You certainly are one that is involved and goes to all of the schools and communicates with all of the others and encourages for us to do the same. And I think that's really important as a leader, to not just speak of what is to be done, but to do what is to be done, because that is what's in our role. So I'm so proud of you, all of that you've done. I wish you the best with the next chapter in your life, and thank you so much, and not goodbye, just see you later.
I don't know about anybody else, but I always kind of feel like this is a little awkward with an audience. I feel like we should be in a private dining room with a glass of wine or something like that. Yeah, maybe that'll be later. But Carol, I want to congratulate you on your recent election to the town council. I feel very confident that you'll have our back with the Board of Ed there, and I thank you for your continued desire to serve this town, because as maybe some people forget, but I assume you all know, whether you're watching on TV or in the audience, these are volunteer positions. So, it's hard enough to get here, and then the countless hours that you put in, especially as chair, the extra time with that, I know is above and beyond what the rest of us do. And that just takes real commitment, and to have done that for as long as you have, and then to have desire to go on, you're either a glutton for punishment or just a noble public servant. I'll go with the latter. So thank you for your service, and it's been a nice time with you on the board, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you. Dave, same thing. He's a volunteer, but he should get paid, as kind of Deb alluded to, for all the times he's been places or goes places. Instead of where Waldo, it could be like, where's Dave? Because he's probably always in the background of one of those meetings or pictures, and it's really a credit to his desire to serve our town. It's easy sometimes to get lost in unfortunately, even at this level in the partisan stuff with, being on different sides of issues and stuff like that. But I really think everyone has to appreciate the time and effort anybody puts in to do this. When you're a volunteer, all these folks have, other full-time positions, and they spend countless hours away from their family serving our town, and then sometimes they get yelled at. Again, you have a certain type of personality. You don't want to do this. And Dave, I think, not to be repetitive on what Deb said, but he seems to be a cut above the rest, in my opinion, and just his dedication. I had the privilege of visiting a few schools with Dave, and we had some, I think, fun times doing that. And going to a meeting in the evening or two at some of the PTOs, and just observing him and how he interacts so naturally for our town. You could tell that he just really loved doing this, and that's what was most important to him. And so I wish you well in all your future endeavors. And as I said in the card, I'll miss your presence here, and I look forward to seeing what is next for you. So thanks, guys.
So, Carol, we've, as the longest board member that has served with both of you the longest, it's been a distinct pleasure of mine to have served with you. And a lot of things that were said is, you know, we do this voluntarily, and there's a lot of time put in, and you as the chair have spent a lot of behind the scenes times in Tom's office and such, and that doesn't get unnoticed by us that sit up there, but people watching should know that. It's just not a couple hours on two Tuesdays a month. There's a tremendous amount of stuff that goes beyond, and you do it flawlessly. And I also want to congratulate you to Town Council. I'm glad, you know, there was a question, if anyone watched it, during election night when the numbers come in on WeHa TV. They say, the question was not too many, there hasn't been a Republican that has served on Town Council from Board of Ed. But on the Democratic side, that you have stepped up to go to Board Ed and others have. And we know that you have our backs over there. And it's something that I thought of that day, actually, you know, because I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that. And, you know, because honestly, if the accolades that West Hartford gets typically are our schools, and if we could have somebody on the Board of Ed that has served on the board that knows this isn't an easy no job, if you will. You can't walk into this and think you know everything when you sit at this table, because every day I'm still learning, and I've been on for 7 years. And I think we could say that we ran into a budget, a tough budget, and we didn't really know about certain programs, smaller ones, but we always took the time. Carol, you always took the time for us to find out what they were, talk about it, spend the time, and you always gave us the appropriate amount of time. Your leadership has been exemplary, and you know, the times that I've spent with you here at parades, at Celebrity Chef with your famous jerk chicken, at least I find it famous, I love it. And so I want to thank you for your service, and you continue to do so. Best of luck, and only the best for you going forward. Dave, everyone kind of stole my thunder. I thought I was going to be the one. You get around, and I, you know, so again, I'm not serving on this board. I get every email he gets, mostly from the town. I'm like, how does he know about their fueling up the boiler? Like, how does he know that? And he goes and cuts the ribbon for the fuel truck, and how does he know that's happening? And I just don't know where you get that information, but kudos to you, because I love your passion for that. And the amount of places that you have gone and you've updated us at the end of meetings, I'm like, God, I don't know how he knew that was going on, but, you know, kudos to you for that. I remember when we first met, well, we met earlier in the Charter Oak arena when that school was going through things, but we really didn't really meet. But we really met at Muya's on a snowy day. And I think that was the impetus of you starting to join the Board of Ed, because it was me, an old chair, Marco Velasquez, and Jay Sarzan. We used to meet monthly, and we used to go to different places and try the food, and we happened to be at Muya's that day, and you walked in after work and sat down and talked to us for a few minutes, and I remember that. And then next thing you know, you're running for Board of Ed, and I'm glad you did so. I appreciate, you know, you could take a very tough topic, and I think it's because it's in the news lately, if you will, in Hollywood and such, but you almost bring, and I mean this as the highest compliment, like a Mr. Rogers approach. Like, you always calm, cool, and collective. You're just very even keeled, and your love and compassion for the kids, you know, in this, the students, if you will, in this shows, and I think that has the same attributes that that he does, because you always have this tone about you that's just so soothing, and it's been noticed, and I appreciate your volunteership through the years, and it's been a pleasure to know you as well. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Wow, I tell you what, Mr. Rogers, I'm going to cherish that, man. Oh, boy.
You're doing it right now?
Yeah. Would you be my neighbor?
Yeah.
Well, you know, speaking of neighbors, the three of us, it's been a secret source of pride. We all live in the same neighborhood. And Lorna, you're going to keep the tradition on in the neighborhood. And Carol, you're going on to town council supporting the neighborhood. And I'll figure out something. Yeah. But thank you so much, Lorna. I always appreciate your command of words is awesome. You did it again tonight. And I would just say a couple things. Yeah, great job. I mean, one time I even just said ditto because I didn't know what to say. You are just so eloquent, and I always appreciate that. And you can say things so much better than I can. And when you're speaking on behalf of the board, we certainly appreciate that. And Carol, you too, thank you so much for helping me keep that even keel. Sometimes behind the scenes, I can be a little hard to handle, and you helped me to tone it down a notch. So I appreciate that. Deb, you've been my reality check. If I have an idea, I might run it by Deb first, and she'll say, "Nah, you shouldn't do that." And so that's good. Always appreciate it, Amanda. I also remember you from Bugby. Every time I go there, I would see you. So you were quite involved back in those days, and as a parent, and now on the board as well. I really appreciate the perspective you give, the fresh perspective that you bring. You know, I've been doing this for 4 years. Maybe I overlook things, and thank you for still. I just remember your first meeting when you mentioned the luncheon that we had for the new teachers and how much it was appreciated. And I knew it was, but I forgot that. So thank you. Keep that up. That's awesome. And Mark, thank you for your 7 years. I was wondering how many. Wow, that is great because it's really been important. And you mentioned Charter Oak. You know, I was kind of, because I'm an immediate neighbor of Charter Oak, really involved in the meetings as much as I could. And I know you were always there. And I just remember that vote when they were voting to do the construction. And it was not sure if it was going to pay off, but it certainly has. It's a credit to everyone who's worked so hard for that school, so thank you. And Rob, you're the undercover agent. I'll tell you what, because as I was thinking of my 4 years, and I have had a chance to visit the schools, whenever I do that, we came up with a system where I would just say, hey, I'm going to go visit Wolcott on Friday in 3 weeks. Can anybody join me? And I know it's a function of the two of us have more flexible job schedules, but you've been there quite a few times. I can, off the top of my head, we went to Bristow, KP, Sedgwick, and Wolcott together. And last meeting we talked about the lunch we had. That was just neat, and I appreciate that. So maybe you can buy me a school lunch again, even though I'm not on the board. and you know, I just got it. Tom, thank you for putting up with me. It's been much appreciated. I've asked some weird questions sometimes, and you've pointed me in the right direction. So thank you. And Isabella and Kenya, thank you for your input. It's been great. One of the things I've loved is the student representatives, how much input we get from you. Every year they seem to take it up a notch, don't they? And you guys have just been doing great, and I'll continue to watch. Thank you so much. And another unsung hero is sitting right behind me. That's Cammie Rogers. Thank you. Cammie is the one who puts our minutes together, and wow, that is quite a job. Thank you. And one more person that I do want to thank is someone who doesn't get the credit, and that's Ronnie Newton over here, who sometimes seems like she's able to answer questions that are out on Facebook, for example, that we on the board aren't able to answer because it wouldn't be appropriate for us to be out there maybe engaging in a debate. Our debates have to be here. And thank you, Ronnie, for the role you play in the community for, you know, just keeping everybody informed. Much appreciated. And so thanks to everybody, all the principals who let me come visit as well. I've always appreciated that. And I will miss it, but hopefully you'll see me around.
Dave, and thank you, everybody. So if you'll indulge me a little, because I prepared something, because I have a tendency to be long-winded. So I know this is going to be a long night, so I thought it would be best if I just prepared a little brief statement. So thank you, and to all of my board colleagues, over the past 4 years, it's been an honor and it's been a pleasure to serve. With you, Dave, Mark Z. I remember when I first came on, I was trying to figure out how to pronounce the last name. Mark Zdanowitz, Cheryl Greenberg, Jay Sarzan, Mark O.V., Tammy Exum, and now Lorna, Deb, and Amanda for the past few months. It's really been a pleasure and an honor to serve with all of you. I remember when I came on the board, Tammy said, it's like a family. You're going to really get to know everybody. You're really close in your caucuses and just when you're in the meetings and you're debating different issues. So you really get to know individuals and you get to know their families. And I must say that's exactly what it feels like over the past 4 years. I value each of you and your contributions that you made to our district. You made our district stronger. And that's why we continue to be the top schools in our top town, in our state, and across our nation. A big thanks also to Cammie. I certainly can't forget Lori, and I can't forget Suzanne. Those are the machines behind what you see sitting here each Tuesdays of the month. These ladies are awesome, and they really make it happen. To Tom, our superintendent, I always say Tom is our biggest cheerleader, and he really makes West Hartford Schools what it is. And I always say this, it doesn't happen by chance. It's hard work, it's a lot of hours, and you really get what you pay for. And that's usually that's always the top of the top and the cream of the crop. And it's because of you, Tom, and your executive team, and the excellent teachers and staff in our district. So I'm going to call you out because that's how important that I feel each and every one of you are. So to Andy, Rick, Paul, Rosina, Gretchen, Ann, Carrie, and Chip as he retires. Lord knows where he is, but I'm sure he's having a great time. And now Liz, I've had the pleasure of meeting you and listening to your presentations, which are awesome. And I know you're going to continue to carry that torch that Chip left behind, but also create your own. And I know we're in good hands. The wealth and the knowledge that all of you together and your talent combined is really what makes our district outstanding. Over the past 4 years, I've had the pleasure to visit our 16 schools and meet our beautiful teachers and staff, and of course, students. And we have the representatives sitting right here at this board table. To different events, the breakfast meetings, the retirement dinners, the new teacher luncheons. No two are ever the same. Each is unique as each school community, and it's all good. The past few years were amazing. I came into this board as a freshman. And this is like a high school graduation, which is, by the way, one of the best experiences as a board member to attend our high school graduations. I leave knowing that our district is stronger and continues to improve each year is better than the previous. So I'm not going far. I'm on the same channel, just a different night. And I look forward to my new role and collaborating with all of you to keep our district and community strong. Thank you.
As the employee of West Hartford here, we're happy to present to you in thanks, each of you, customary Town of West Hartford chair. It has your name and years of service on the back. And for all of us that work in the schools and as a parent, thanks to both of you for all that you've done, all the time you have spent, your patience, your advocacy, and your commitment to our schools and to our kids. It is much appreciated, and that's just a small token, but it's something you should be proud of. It's a limited set, the people that get these. We'll have those delivered to your homes this week, so thank you.
Okay. So we move on to the next agenda item, which is the induction of our newly elected board members. So the induction of our newly elected board members, which is going to be Sean Payson, Ari Steinberg, as well as Amanda Arrington. The background is Essie LeBreau, our town clerk, will induct the newly elected board members. And so do we do that now, and then we go to the recess? Okay. So Ari and Sean. And Mark.
Mark? Mhm. Yep. If you want to just stand in front, that's fine. Okay, would you raise your right hands, please? Do you solemnly swear or sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that you will faithfully discharge, according to law, your duties as a member of the West Hartford Board of Education to the best of your abilities, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury? Congratulations.
Okay, that's it for me. I'm signing out.
Don't adjourn, don't adjourn. Recess.
We'll have a brief recess.
Just want to introduce myself. How are you? Oh, good. I did, yeah. So I've known the rep for 4 years, but which I feel a lot of good things. And so everyone says you're amazing. And we'll catch up at some point.
Oh, we went to the game that UConn stuck up the house. Yeah. But we had fun. We had to see each other.
I'd like to call the meeting back to order. Thank you, everyone. I move that Mr. Tom Moore act as temporary chairperson of this meeting for the purpose of electing a chairperson of the Board of Education. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes.
All right. I know, it's, everything's absolute power corrupts absolutely. All right, the meeting will please come to order. Nominations are now in order for the office of chairperson. So, do I have any nominees for the office of chairperson?
I nominate Deb Poland for chairperson.
Do I have any other nominations? Okay, as Deb Poland has been nominated for the office of chairperson, no other nominations. Nominations are now closed. Those in favor of Deb Poland for chairperson say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Okay, so Deb, congratulations. You are the
Thank you.
chairperson. You can take over now.
Thank you. Now I'd like to call for nominations for the position of vice chairperson. Do we have any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Dr. Lorna.
Oh, I think the lock is on.
We got it now? Seeing no other nominations for vice chair, all those in favor of Dr. Lorna Thomas Farquharson as vice chairperson, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Congratulations. I now call for nominations for the position of Secretary of the Board of Education.
I nominate Amanda Aronson to serve as Secretary for the Board of Ed.
Are there other nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor of Amanda Aronson as Secretary of the Board of Education, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. Congratulations. Now I'm seeking a nomination for a financial examiner to represent the Republicans on the Board of Education. Do I have a nomination?
I'd like to nominate Rob Levine for that position.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Congratulations, Rob. And finally, I'm seeking nominations for the position of a financial examiner representing the Democrats on the board.
I'd like to nominate Deb Poland for financial examiner for the Democrats.
Any other nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor of me serving as the financial examiner for the Democrats, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And the ayes have it. Thank you. I'm noticing we're a little bit short on time, and we do still have a few other items to go through before we adjourn this evening, and I'd like to table the new business item, which is the ratification of the contract for the maintenance employees. Do I need a motion for that, Tom?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to table this item? We would bring this item back up at the board meeting of December 3rd. And there would be no impact to any of the employees for the delay of the vote of this contract.
So moved.
A second, anyone? Yeah. I did try to get a lesson in not using the override switch, but I need a second lesson, as it turns out. All those in favor of voting to table this motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All right. Moving on to staff communications and reports, we start first with the superintendent's report.
I'll go very quickly, really, and just Ronnie wrote a good piece about it, and the town tweeted it out. Newsweek named both Conard and Hall High School in the top 500 STEM high schools in the United States, which is especially significant considering neither are designated as STEM high schools. It's part of what we do as comprehensive high schools. And again, there's no one metric that's going to capture everything a school does, but this shows the recognition that we do. It was taken over a study over a 5-year period of the courses that are offered, the achievement of its students. So this is something we're very proud of. And when you compare West Hartford to the other schools on the list, we're the only comprehensive high school to have of all the comprehensive high schools in Connecticut to make the list. The next highest free and reduced lunch is 4%, and West Hartford's at 26%. When you talk about diversity and everything else, the achievement of our two schools, of our staff, mostly of our students, and our community support is fantastic. So there's not a community that looks like us, nor is there one with two high schools, and you only have two high schools and they're both in the top 500. That's the only town in the country that describes. So congratulations to West Hartford.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. We don't have any other staff reports and board discussions for this evening. We will move to routine matters, and that the first item is approval of the minutes for the regular Board of Education meeting of November 6th, 2019. And do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? And all those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Abstain.
Excellent. The motion passes, and it appears I have learned how to use the buttons correctly, so excellent news. Moving on to the next item, information and reports. Are there any information and reports from board members, from other boards and organizations? Or other information and discussions?
I just wanted to mention that many of us had a chance to attend Veterans Day services at a number of our schools. They were very well done, and I think that's probably my new favorite day in West Hartford. So I know, Mark, you participated on a panel as well at KP and also at Conard, also just KP. And a number of us had a chance to get around town that day, and it was incredibly special. So thank you to the staff and students for making that so meaningful for all of us.
Great. And now we move on to the non-staff communications and reports, the reports from our student representatives. And Kenya, would you be so kind as to go first this evening?
Good evening. So I'll make mine quick as well. So our United Nations trip was a very valuable experience where we went to New York with the Charter Oak 5th graders. And so it was great to be in such an empowering institution, but also be able to see the point of views of the 5th graders when they saw the artwork. Congratulations to John Zaire for being Conard's recipient of the Farmington Valley Superintendent Association Award, and the boys cross country team for finishing 5th in the New England Championship while also establishing the best record in school history. We were fortunate enough to have numerous veterans in our presence last Monday. They joined us for breakfast made by our careers in food students and later held a panel discussion. Last week, our drama students held the 10-minute plays, which were very well done. And last Thursday, future educators met to discuss the lesson plans for the freshmen in preparation for our Human Rights Day on December 10th. DECA is currently raising funds to travel to their national conference in Nashville by hosting Wee Ha Ha comedy shows on November 16th and December 7th. Doors open at 7 and the show starts at 8 o'clock. Parent-teacher conferences, as we know, are this week, Wednesday and Thursday. School will be starting at 10:30 on Thursday. And Spirit Week is currently taking place this week in preparation for our pep rally on Friday, in preparation for the Hall versus Conard football game Saturday at 1:30 at Conard High School. Thank you.
The Hall student government hosted a successful homecoming dance a week ago Saturday in our school cafeteria. On the sports front, the girls swimming Class LL finals are tonight, so we wish them good luck. The boys soccer state finals are on Saturday, and as Kenya mentioned, the Hall Conard football game is also on Saturday. Hall is hoping to keep the Mayor's Cup at Hall, but we'll see what happens. The choral department's annual madrigals show will be this Friday and Saturday at St. James Episcopal Church. Tickets are on sale now at hallhighmadrigals.tix.com. Rehearsals for the black box production of Clue have begun, and the student-directed show will run December 11th through the 14th, so keep your eyes out for that. The pet supply drive by the Hall Animal Welfare Awareness Club is in its final week. Donations will be given to Paw Safe Animal Rescue. Two science teachers, Miss Foley and Miss Culmo, will be hosting a hands-on science show on Saturday in conjunction with the Chem for Kids Club. They will be welcoming people from the Big Brothers Big Sisters organization to participate. As Kenya mentioned, also parent-teacher conferences are on Wednesday and Thursday, and as second quarter is in full swing, and as the weather gets chillier, we are looking forward to Thanksgiving break. Thank you.
Thank you. Future business, our next couple of meeting dates are coming up on Tuesday, December 3rd and Tuesday, December 17th. Both of those meetings will be at 7 p.m. at Town Hall, right here in this room, the Legislative Chamber, room 314. Are there any requests for future agenda items? Seeing none. Are there any comments from visitors in the room? All right, and we do not have any executive session to go into, so I'd like to call for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right. Meeting is adjourned.
Excuse me, does anybody have Arkansas plates on their car? Is there anyone here with a car with Arkansas plates? Okay. Whatever, your lights are on.
You too.
Nice job.
No, so they came in second. Often happen in the same No, that's the foundation.
Trying to be,
And there's stuff also that we can eat tonight. Yeah. Absolutely.
Whenever you need somebody to
Thank you.
How are you? Yes. Living the dream. Yeah. You know, you're the third person in the last 5 minutes to say exactly the same thing.
I can understand.
Could I take a picture with you?
You sure can.
No way.
Yeah, way, really.
Thank you.
There we go. All right, perfect.
It's a pleasure.
Have you? You in? All right, here we go.
can, but you don't want to take a picture with them. You want to take a picture with the actual elected officials. We don't count. Where is she? There is right there. And then the hug. The black, yep, that's her. You look better than you do. Are we still trying to do this like now, or are we just? Don't want to be late. Thank you.
just telling somebody in my office the hardest question I've ever been asked at this podium was the counselor who earnestly looked me in the eye from across the room on TV, and said, "What are the unintended consequences of this action?" And it was like,
Hello, Kevin. How are you? Good to see you. Don't see you around anymore. How are you?
"Fine, how are you?" Cindy did reminders.
Thank you. But here, that's when. So this, who does that? This certification?
Town clerk. Essie does the certification. Essie gives the oath. The elections happen then.
When we do the break. Essie, when's the break? Oh, well, traditionally what she does at the beginning, before that, they're going to say their goodbyes. Oh, before this? Yeah. That's what they traditionally do. So.
And then they leave. They get their chairs.
What's that? Right. And there may be a short break, and then we go right into that.
Right. And then there's so anything that's the normal stuff. Right. Okay. Right. Yeah. There you go.
Big picture of you because you won. Congratulations. Very grateful to have your leadership. Life goes on. Yeah. One day at a time.
Thank you.
Take the bottom one.
Lights come in.
November 19th Town Council meeting to order, and I would like to ask Dallas Dodge to come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you come up, Dallas?
Well, the third, the fourth, what are you?
What, Dallas Dodge the what? Fourth? Dallas Dodge the fourth? Oh.
Okay, when you're ready, here's the flag, and so, and when you're ready. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. A roll call, Ms. LeBreau.
Mr. Barnes for the last time.
Present for the last time.
Ms. Cantor?
Here.
Mr. Davidoff?
Present.
Mr. Dodge for the last time.
Present for the first time.
Ms. Bay?
Here.
Ms. Kerrigan?
Here.
Mr. Sweeney?
Here.
Mr. Winograd?
Present.
And Mr. Williams?
Present.
Thank you, Ms. LeBreau. I have often started our meetings with unfortunate the weight of another event of gun violence, and this week again was a very difficult week. Every day 100 Americans are killed with guns and hundreds more are shot and injured. Average deaths per year is 36,000 and injuries over 100,000 with guns. 2/3 of gun deaths are suicides, 10 times that of other countries with similar incomes. Gun homicides are largely concentrated in our U.S. cities. As of November 15th, the 319th day of the year, there have been 366 mass shootings in the United States. On November 14th, there was a shooting at Saugus High School in Santa Clarita, California. 2 teenage students were killed, 3 wounded, with the shooter also dead. This is the 11th school shooting in 2019. School officials and law enforcement have responded to a dozen more credible threats. Pleasantville, New Jersey, 2 shot at a high school football game. Yesterday, 3 were killed in a shooting regarding domestic violence in a Walmart in Duncan, Oklahoma. So I just want to remind elected leaders around the state and the country that these events are profoundly local. They affect local communities. These local communities are hurting, and I have a letter drafted from the town manager and myself to these communities saying that we are thinking about them, and we again, prayers and, but we try to move this issue forward by bringing a resolution, and this came from the U.S. Conference for Mayors urging to say that local communities is to speak up to provide the strength for our federal officials to make the necessary common sense gun laws, and I'm proud that this was a bipartisan resolution that passed at this table. So with that, we will move on to, it is at this point that we say goodbye to our departing colleagues, and we're going to start with my colleague on this side, the big D, and he is a big D, Mr. Dodge. So, is there somebody that would like to start? Mr. Winograd, would you like to kick this off?
Sure. And it's good that he's learned to lean back a little bit so you can actually see me.
I know. A lot of times I can't. It's true.
I've occasionally not gotten to speak at meetings because of Dallas. And,
apologies.
Between the two of us, it's just not working. Dallas Dodge really is a truly special individual, and I've thoroughly enjoyed serving with him these past 3 years. It's really simply amazing how much he has accomplished at such a young age. I mean, for a 25-year-old.
26.
For a 26-year-old, really? To have done that, well, but he's actually a couple years older, but he looks really good. But, sitting next to Dallas, his ability to occasionally text the funny meme or drop the right joke for the moment has really made it much easier to deal with some tense moments. And at the same time, his really keen analytic mind has often helped us to get to the right place. I really remember in particular one committee meeting we had where he tore apart an ordinance. That had looked pretty good coming in. We had read it and it seemed okay. It wasn't on the most important issue in the world. And he tore it apart. And he picked out a dozen places where it could be unforeseen results if we had passed it. I had expected to move very quickly through my committee. He found the hidden flaws, slowed it down. We went a little over. I think Chris Barnes was trying to get out of there. We both were looking at him. usually try to end at 9. It wasn't going to happen. And we didn't actually get it done that day, and we brought it back for a second round, and we came back the next month and did it right. And that's the kind of counselor he has been. Frankly, a bit of a pain, but he was also right. We haven't always agreed, but that's okay. I've actually enjoyed our arguments more than anything. And while I have not been keeping score, I think I'm winning. When I heard Dallas wasn't running again, I texted him, and very sudden, I texted him a quick, "I'll miss you." And he responded with a GIF of Han Solo saying, "I know." That's what serving with Dallas Dodge was like. Thanks for the good times, my friend.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Mr. Winograd. Mr. Sweeney.
So some of you may know this, but Dallas, myself, and Mr. Williams basically came up together in town together. And it's fascinating kind of how our stars have aligned over our career. Dallas grew up on the Conard side. I grew up on the Hall. We were of the same class of different sides. And I know for a fact that if we talked about this when we were 18, there's no way we thought we'd be right here. But it's just been pretty kind of amazing to come up together in the way that we have, whether it's been, knowing each other on the other side of the tracks of Hall and Conard. But then our stars aligned actually when we both worked at the state legislature, and then we totally meshed at that point. We both became much more active in the town, and then we both had kids about the same age that are both. We both have a girl and a boy, both having a boy being the older by 2 years, and our families became really close with one another. In fact, so close that we actually went to the same preschool, and it's been fascinating to see our worlds kind of collide, and it's been great to also have do it along with Chris. I don't want to speak for Dallas on that, but I think that's what serving this town has been all about. It's been really just a phenomenal feeling of being able to work with people that you've known literally your entire life. I knew Dallas when he's and just for the record, he's always been taller than everybody. He was taller than everyone at rec basketball when Mr. Dodge was the coach. And it's been fascinating to be on this ride kind of in a parallel way to where we are today. And Dallas, we will definitely be seeing each other probably tomorrow morning at drop off with the kids. But you will certainly be missed. I will see you probably again tomorrow. But thank you so much for, as Ben said, your humor, your intellect, and your service. So thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Mr. David.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I met Dallas Dodge in 2016 when there was a vacancy on the council, and it was a great first meeting, and you sort of get an idea as to what someone's about with a first impression. And the first impression I got of Dallas Dodge was this gentleman is smart, he's well-spoken, he holds himself to high standards, and he's willing to learn and do the work that's necessary at the council table. I've been on here for 12 years, and I've served with 21 different council people, but Dallas holds a distinction that none other that holds. And that is, in my opinion, he was the fastest person to learn about any issue that came before the council. He understands the procedures of how the council operates, and I think a lot of that has to do with his day job, being around the legislature very often. And he provided something to me that I really appreciate, and that is to provide coherent, logical points in opposition to the way I was thinking about something. And he did it in a very meaningful way, and he did it respectfully, and I'm a better person because of it, because I value his judgments, and while we may not always agree, they were always principled discussions, and I'm truly appreciative of that. So there is a difference in age between the two of us, but with respect to what we have more in similar I think, is the desire to serve our community and to have fun with our family. And if anyone's ever seen Dallas's Instagram posts, he has a lot of fun with his two children. And if you see them out in the community, they're really fun people to be with. And his wife, Jessica, thank you for sharing Dallas for very many nights. But I really never understood, and I'll just share this here, why it was always necessary at like 10:30, 11 o'clock to make certain that Jess had something to eat at that hour. Was it because you were so busy with the children that you didn't get an opportunity to eat, or was he really wanted just to have family time with you? But in all sincerity, Dallas, I wish you the best in whatever endeavors you take from here, and thank you for being such a valued and treasured colleague of mine on the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. David. Ms. Kerrigan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Dallas Dodge III. A lot of Dallas Dodges out there. Thank you for demonstrating real leadership today. It's challenging in life to balance family, work, fun, and giving back. And what I think about is those that have their job as giving back really are the smartest of us all, because that frees up some time to have more fun. You've chosen to put your wife, Jessica, your son, Dallas Dodge IV, and your daughter, Felicity, who I see here, over being here. And it's hard to make these decisions, but really the quality of your life and these memories stay with you. Congratulations on becoming a partner lobbyist for Roy and Leroy. I'll never forget last election, your first. I didn't know your career was going to be so short at Rizzuto's. And what you said was, I want my parents to be proud. And I was really moved, because at the end of the day, that's all we want, is our parents to be proud. And you have made us proud. I got to see a little bit of your parents in action, and I'm glad to see you there knocking very early in the morning at the Dodgers' parents' house, and because I saw a light there with Dad. I guess he was reading the paper in his underwear. That's what I hear the backstory is. I don't know that for a fact. But your mom came to the front doors. I knocked at, 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was. And she was at, I hope you're okay with this story. No, she was okay, no, I can talk right here. No, but most women don't open the door when they're in their robe and they don't have their makeup on and they don't have their hair done. And I mean, you're a wonderful woman, a beautiful woman. So she opened the door and she's there with her robe on and, just like she just got out of bed. So I felt really guilty for that, and I gave her my sign to put on her lawn. I was surprised when I drove by your house that the sign was actually there, because I figured you were really going to be mad at me for that. So that's really love. I mean, I could tell, that love and type of family you came from. I could feel the love that she exuded. I've seen you in action, lobbying against legislation to cap long-term premium increases, and I'm sure you'll bring those same skills to Roy and Leroy. You're smart as a whip. You're focused, you're confident, and maybe that comes with your height. I don't know. But I know when we first met, we didn't click. And I kept thinking, what is it? Is it his height? Is it our gender differences, our height differences, our age differences? I'm older than your mom. Was it our background? You're well educated from a town, West Hartford. I came from a town called Brentwood, New York. It's run now by MS-13. And it's not a place you would choose to raise a family or choose to live. But finally we clicked, and for me, one of the fun moments was being at the Governor's Ball, and we had some fun with, Javier Colon and the Tanger folks, and we had some laughs, and that was a really good moment for me. I have a great deal of respect for our relation, most importantly because our differences never pulled us apart. Whether it was the Yukon property or marketing, campaign marketing material that we managed to continue to have honest relationships even when we disagreed. And as a matter of fact, our last conversation where we were disagreeing, which maybe every conversation we were disagreeing, I don't know. But I don't know if you remember our last words. You said, I love you. And I said, I love you more. So it's kind of cool that two people that came from very different backgrounds with very different heights and different genders and different sexual orientations, and I'm older than your mom, that we can still have a great relationship. So I wish you the best of luck. But you won't need it, because you create your own opportunities now. Go enjoy your wife, your children, your mom, your dad, who are all so proud of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kerrigan. Do you And do you have a preference on how you, okay?
go right down there.
All right, perfect, Mr. Barnes.
And I don't know if I want to follow that, Beth. I don't have extensive remarks like, what can you say? I'm kind of speechless, actually. And, Liam, I mean, Dallas, you and I have very little in common. I mean, like nothing. Other than we run half marathons and we pass each other out on the course, at least we did this year, and certainly I've been on the sideline cheering you guys on. So we do have that. We do have that. So my remarks will be a little shorter. I'll leave it with, I've enjoyed working with you on the council. I've enjoyed campaigning against you. The last time I had to campaign in 2017, it was actually kind of an awful campaign season, but I did enjoy our jousting over issues facing the town. And I know that we will probably get along a heck of a lot better and enjoy each other's company when we're not on the council. So I look forward to having that beer with you sometime and laughing about all of the things that we didn't laugh about and probably should have while we were serving on the council. So best of luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Wow. Are you guys
I
gonna
love
hug?
you more.
Are you
Don't write that down.
All right. Oh, God. It's going to be a long night. Ms. Fay. Not for you.
Goodness. Unfortunately, I don't know you as well as the rest of the folks around the table. This is my second term now. But I do feel like I do know you because we've gotten into it quite a few times. A little bit of a tussle, but I got to tell you, I think we've always patched it up and kissed and made up. And I do really like you a lot. I have a lot of respect for you, Dallas. I really do. I consider you a friend. And, I think it's good that we have differences on the council and that we're able to debate issues. And we both definitely bring passion to the table every single solitary session and in our subcommittee meetings. There's no doubt about that we're very vested in our community and we deeply care about it. So my nickname for you is Triple D, like diners. What is it? Diners, drives, and yeah. Okay, can't even get that right. But Triple D is what I call you with deep affection, and you'll be missed. You really will. I'll miss jostling with you for sure. And I like a good debate, and I think we had several of them. So I hope to see you more often now that you have more free time, and call me anytime. I'll definitely meet you for coffee or a beer or a basketball game.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Dodge, time for the airing of grievances. So I remember when I first got elected, part of what I was excited about was I had the distinction of being the only person to serve with former Mayor Slifka that was younger than him. And I was pumped up about that. And then 4 months later, he steps down and you get appointed. You're younger than me, taking the title. And not only that, you have much better hair. I mean, full head of hair at your age, it's great. So you and I are on the same stage of our lives. And so I've admired how you balance your home and work life. Our kids went to the same preschool along with Rory. And so I've seen firsthand that you're a great dad, along with your wonderful wife, Jessica, great parents. And so I have a short story to that end. Where is Quattro? There he is. So my daughter, Lilia, went to camp with little Dallas, and another kid, not a nice kid, was making fun of my daughter's smile. And Dallas stepped up and told my daughter that she has a beautiful smile. And so that's the stuff of great, and by the way, she does. But that's the stuff of great parenting. You've been a thoughtful member of the council. I've appreciated being able to discuss issues with you, and when we disagreed, we had respectful discourse, and we've maintained confidence as well. So your voice on the council will be missed, and I really wish you and your family the best of luck in all future endeavors.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Dallas, I want to start not by thanking you, but by thanking Jessica and by thanking Dallas and Felicity for sharing your dad with us. It's really been really helpful for us, and I know it's hard on you guys sometimes to say goodbye when he had to go out. And Dallas and Cynthia, parents, you could not, I know that family could not do what they do without your support and help. You make everything work, and all of you together. I know how much you love and support each other, and it's beautiful to watch. I've known Dallas a long time. My husband actually roomed with Dallas's uncle. They were RAs together at UConn, and they roomed together in law school. And I actually roomed with Dallas's aunt, Carol, right? And we all were friends, and we actually went to the basketball game at the recent basketball game. And you were a treasure of mine early on. I think it was my third campaign. And I could see then that Dallas was always, he was always beyond his years. He just was one of those people that knew where he wanted to go and had the poise and the interest to really dive into issues and think. He is a very, very bright man. He's difficult though too, because he really tells you what he feels, and he's a tough critic. I think he demands a lot of himself, but he demands a lot of people around him too, including UConn, basketball, football. Being a trustee, I received so many panicked calls from Dallas. What are we doing? But you know what? At the game, the Florida game, I didn't get a text. Things were very good, and I got no text. So I don't know what that is. So, you know, you got to share the good and the bad. But Dallas, we asked him to step up. He was, on the council not that long when he actually led really challenging the discussion of whether to purchase the UConn property or not. That was a really important, big issue. I was conflicted out because I'm a UConn trustee. UConn owned the property, and we had a right of first refusal on whether the town should buy it or not. And it was a challenging project. He handled it so professionally. And there were a lot of emotions attached to that project too. And again, I'm so appreciative of his leadership. He actually has been, he was helpful with the common sense gun resolution, which was a really important thing for us. I think it's going to continue to be an important thing to keep saying over and over and over. He has the ability to look at a complicated issue, boil it down, and make it simple, understandable. He is amazingly convincing, and then he changes his mind, and he's amazingly convincing again. And it's weird how that happens. No, it's not indecisive. And then sometimes he just go back. But he really can convince you to go down one path, and they go, yeah, don't do that. So watch out, kids. Right, Dallas? Do you get that? He also keeps us all connected. He loves to laugh. He loves to talk about all kinds of things. He loves his bourbon. He's an honest advisor and a strategic thinker. He's a bridge builder and a real asset to the council. We've had many discussion at Savoy. He's recommended wonderful books. He is a real asset to this team, and he's going to be missed at this table very much. So thank you, Dallas. Now, do you want to say anything?
It's a little tougher than I thought it was going to be. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since I first got on council, I tried to live by the mantra that I would try not to speak just for the sake of speaking, and I do think I violated my own rule more than a handful of times, especially in committee meetings. But I am going to try and be brief tonight. I want to begin by thanking my parents who are here tonight, first for making the decision to raise me in this incredible town, but also for their love and support during the time that I've served. One of my favorite nights of my first and actually my only campaign a couple years ago was sitting with them in our dining room table and going through the voter list to ID neighbors and friends. And it was just an amazing reminder of how good this town has been to us and the lifetime of friendships that it's given us. And they were always there to bounce ideas off of, and more importantly, to babysit at a moment's notice when Jess and I both had evening events. I think they're actually going to do that tonight when I'm done. And of course, I also want to thank my wonderful wife, Jessica, and our two kids, Dallas and Felicity. The spouse of anyone on council has to put up with a lot. The long hours away, the stress that's brought home sometimes after late night debates, and the trips to the grocery store that suddenly take twice as long. And so thank you, Jess, for always understanding, for always being there for me when I got home, and always, for more importantly, being my voice of reason. Some of those mind changes were because of her. So, yeah. To Dallas and Felicity, I hope that you will both remember the hard work that went into this, the good people who I served with, and I hope that the experience of watching your father serve will help you to always have the view that public service is something honorable and worthy. I've spent the better part of my career working with public officials of one kind or another, and I never thought that I would end up running for office myself. But I couldn't be happier that I did. And it's given me a new level of respect for anyone who's willing to hold themselves up for election, to make the sacrifices needed to make participant democracy work. Most politicians who I've worked with are good people trying to do the right thing. And the ones I've respected the most are the ones who put their heads down and get the work done. At the end of the day, this job isn't about scoring political points. It's not about the best, who has the best rhetorical flourishes. It's about helping other people. And the best moments that I've had on council haven't been any of the policy debates that we've had at this table. They've been the patient moments, sitting, listening to a constituent, explain a problem, or helping make life just a little bit easier for a neighbor. To help other people, you have to understand them. And one of my favorite quotes from To Kill a Mockingbird is when Atticus tells Scout, "You never really understand a person until you consider things from his viewpoint, until you climb into his skin and walk around." And too often today, we speak at each other and not with each other. A sentiment that was recently expressed by President Obama, who talked about how this tendency is made worse by social media, which sometimes creates the sense of the way of me making change is to be as judgmental as possible about other people. But as President Obama said, the world is messy, there are ambiguities, and people who do really good stuff have flaws. So to the incoming counselors, I hope you find serving as fulfilling as I have. And if you stay focused on how to make West Hartford a town that works for its residents, I think you will. For most of us, this is the highest office that we'll ever hold. I think it's also the best. Focus on today. It's been said that politics is the art of the possible, the art of the attainable, the art of the next best. Be true to your principles, but be open to compromise and working together to get the best result for West Hartford. To the town staff, thank you for the work that you do. When we're door knocking, you hear lots of concerns about affordability and various other concerns that people have. But the most common thing that you hear is just how much people love living in this town and the reasons why they want to move here. And a big part of that is our quality of life, and that's because of the services that the staff provides. And so you're our front line. You get a lot of tough questions from both counselors and from residents. But I'm always impressed by the composure and professionalism that you bring to your job. And to my council colleagues, thank you for your friendship. We're all very different in terms of demeanor, personality, and political outlook, but I've learned a lot from each of you. And although I think at the end of the day, we actually agree more than we disagree, the disagreements have been the funnest part. And to Sherry, to Sherry, the most unpolitician politician I've ever met, thank you for everything you do for the town. I'm sure that plenty will be said later tonight about your incredible work ethic and how your intelligent human approach that you bring to the job of being mayor. But You have been the Democratic Caucus's rock and our conscience, and you've kept us grounded. And so thank you, Sherry, for being my mayor, my friend, and my mentor. And finally, thank you to the residents of West Hartford for giving me this chance to serve you. It's been one of the great honors of my life. Thank you.
Okay, and now we're saying goodbye to Chris Barnes, and I'm going to start with your teammates to say goodbye to you first. I don't know who wants to go first. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. So Carol and Lee, I apologize. This is going to take a minute. So I have always loved politics and policy, and on occasion the question of who is my favorite politician will come up in conversation. And for me, moving forward, at the top of my list will always be Chris Barnes. I had a hard time coming up with the right words tonight because I think so highly of Chris, so I just started to write down words that reminded me of him, and that list might be different than, say, what Dallas would write down. Work ethic. All 9 of us, along with the town staff, know how hard Chris Barnes has worked on behalf of West Hartford citizens for these past 6 years. We on the council receive volumes of documents for every meeting. Chris reads them all. And on our side of the aisle, there are only 3 of us to cover every subcommittee meeting, which adds to the workload. Again, Chris reads it all, understands it, asks prepared questions at meetings. All of us have seen his documents covered in his notes, evidencing his thorough thought process. In fact, I'm looking over right now, and he's a policy mad scientist who tries to get to the solutions for the best policy for our town. Courage and principle. These 2 words to me come together. It's not a walk in the park being in the minority. On this body, the Republicans are outnumbered 6-3, and the subcommittees again are 2-1. Indeed, the town itself has approximately 18,000 registered Democrats and only 6,000 registered Rs, the balance being unaffiliated. So human experience would tell any of us that it is not easy to go into a room full of people and disagree with them on an issue, or more so articulate a contrary position. But Chris Barnes has done that, and not gratuitously, but when he believed the facts and policy required it. And he did it over and over again, no matter the forum, no matter who was in the room, and no matter the issue, if he believed in it. I went back through my notes over the years and found countless examples of Chris's courage and leadership, so I just want to revisit a few. The Wei Ming School. In what has become somewhat of forgotten history, Chris fought to bring public attention to the potential sale of UConn's West Hartford campus to the Wei Ming Education Group, a for-profit school based in China. In general, the town of Wei Ming had a potential agreement whereby Wei Ming would send its students to our schools for junior and senior year of high school. Without getting into the details, it was controversial. Chris demanded a public meeting on this issue in the planning subcommittee, and one followed, and it was attended by over 500 people. Once the proposal was before the people, it became very unpopular and didn't proceed. And that's a good thing, because shortly thereafter, the Obama administration issued an opinion that foreign nationals could not attend American public high schools for more than one single year. The MDC. Before Hartford was bailed out by the state, it was on the brink of bankruptcy. And the MDC was concerned that Hartford wouldn't be able to pay its bills. So the MDC came up with a so-called reserve fund, whereby the other MDC member towns would pay a premium, extra payments, to the MDC in case Hartford defaulted. Chris characterized this reserve fund for what it was, a surplus tax for which the MDC had no authority to implement. I remember sitting in his office right over here and reading through the MDC charter to ensure that we had all our ducks in a row so we could fight the tax effectively and correctly. Chris's legal work also helped guide other municipalities who opposed the illegal tax. The budgets. In all 6 of the budgets that Chris has been a part of, he has been a relentless advocate for fiscal stability and accountability. Time after time, he showed his commitment to residents' personal budgets in meeting after meeting. When Chris was in the room during budget season, the discussion was always more fruitful, challenging, and I dare say, on occasion, more spirited. And finally, how about his run for state rep in 2016? Okay? Chris Barnes. Hold on. Chris Barnes ran for the 19th district in West Hartford the same year Donald Trump ran for president. In West Hartford, given our voter registration, that takes a special level of courage. But Chris believed he could contribute in Hartford and answered the call. He worked his tail off. And at the end of the day, even though Hillary Clinton won West Hartford she was at about 73%, Chris earned a very impressive 45% of the vote in one of the most difficult years to run as a Republican in West Hartford in memory. That is courage, my friends. These are just a few examples of the many. Chris showed courage day in and day out throughout his time on the council and never wavered from what he believed in. He is a good man, and the last two words are good and decent. First off, look at his family. He has a wonderful wife, and Stephanie, who's in the back holding the phone, who has supported him without fail throughout his entire journey. The two complement each other very well. And they've raised three wonderful, intelligent, and successful daughters, Emma, Clara, and Mary Charlotte. Mary Charlotte's here despite feeling ill. Beyond the council, Chris has shown a commitment to his town through service, be it being a mentor to an elementary school student, a volunteer in the Career Pathways program in our public schools, coaching or volunteering his time. I cannot tell you how many times I've run into Chris and one of his daughters on their way to or from serving a soup kitchen or some other charitable event on the weekend. Sometimes I would see Mary Charlotte and she would just be like, ready to get home. So from my perspective, Chris is a great friend. One of the most wonderful things about being on town council is the people you meet through service. And I am forever grateful that my journey crossed paths with Chris's. He has been a great friend and partner, and I, along with the town, will miss him tremendously. Good luck, my friend.
Very sweet. Mary, you want to go?
Yes, thank you very much. I've had the honor to sit next to Mr. Barnes for the past 2 years. And I was thinking about this, what I was going to say tonight, and I'm not one to write down my remarks generally. But I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about how we met. And I actually met Stephanie first. So we were looking for a church to attend, because I was still attending my home church back in East Hartford, where we've been parishioners. My family's been parishioners there for 60 years. But I said, this is crazy. I want something in my own community. So I went to St. Tim's, and Stephanie was the first person I met. And she was, still is, the religious ed director, and our daughter, Katie, was getting ready to make her first communion. So we struck up a fast friendship, and we just started talking. And, she asked me what I was doing, and I said, it's been kind of crazy. My past few jobs have been out of state, and I'm gone Monday through Friday, but I'm now working back in Connecticut, and I really want to get involved in local government. And I did not know that Mr. Barnes here was her husband. I knew who the counselors were, of course, and Sherry Cantor and Leon and Beth Kerrigan. No, but I didn't know you were her husband. I didn't know you guys were together. So I met Stephanie first, which I thought was really funny, and we became good friends. And then she must have said something to you, because not too soon afterwards, I was meeting at your home, and you guys were giving me pointers on how to run a campaign, how to fill out the paperwork, how to do door knocking, some talking points, and I couldn't thank you enough, because I didn't even know where to start. I had never undertaken something like that, and I knew that I wanted to be in public service. I always did, but my career just never lent itself to that. So I can't thank you enough for preparing me. I can't thank you enough for coaching me. I can't thank you enough for being my mentor, and you really have been. I'm not going to repeat everything Chris said, but you work your tail off, and I appreciate that. And definitely during our caucuses, I've come in with a position. I'm pretty strong-willed and decisive, and you've convinced me otherwise. So I really appreciate that. I think we have a good collaboration. And the one thing I'd like to say about Chris, and he said this to me many times, and I think, Denise, you would agree with this if you're still here. There you are. He never forces, not forces, that's the wrong word. He never says you have to vote a certain way. He really believes in the Republican fundamentals of independence, and voicing your own on thoughts and really representing your constituents. So I appreciate that. And there have been times, not often, but I've had a different approach or thought about an issue, and you've never tried to arm twist me to see things your way.
Because you changed your mind.
Yeah, that absolutely. Sometimes that's happened, for sure. So I respect you a lot as a colleague. I admire you as a dad. I think you're tremendous with your girls. And I'm really glad that you're my friend. I'm really going to miss you. I'm going to miss sitting next to you. I really will. I'll miss your guidance.
Thank you, Ms. Fay. Ms. Kim.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not getting off that easy.
There's a lot of love here. Whole lot of love.
You guys don't have to come over.
Okay.
That was all we had. We took care of it. Yeah.
We're good.
From a distance.
Councilor Barnes?
Yes.
I'm so happy to hear the story, Mary, of how you went from being a Democrat to a Republican. I guess it's church is where that happened. So I was kind of curious what the backstory was. And, you know, free to be me. That's what it's all about. So, you know, I spent a lot of time thinking about your title, you know, minority leader. Because, you know, titles have meaning. They matter. And that's a tall order to lead the minority. Because the minority needs a strong leader just by the nature of being the minority. You've done a great job leading the minority because you're smart, you're tenacious, your convictions about what is right. You don't forget a thing, and you're good with asking questions. I kind of felt sorry for Stephanie, like, oh my God, I can't imagine being married to you because you can't win an argument with Mr. Barnes because he's so smart. Minorities need a strong leader because they don't have the power of the majority. And I'm not too sure when the word minority became a pejorative, but it did. And it seems being a minority just isn't easy. But when we face a common threat, we all come together and we forget our differences. Lee Gold, who will soon be sitting at this table, it turns out his aunt and uncle have a place down in Rhode Island, not far from a little place that we have. Ours is 800 square feet, and theirs is, I think, 3,000. But needless to say, we're down there together having a good time. And whenever, you know, whenever there's a storm, everyone has their differences. You know, they talk about dog poop, speeding roads, and speed bumps. And then there's a hurricane, and everyone comes together, and they're taking care of the furniture and the boats and everything. It's a loving moment, kind of like tonight. And then they go back to their old ways, you know, of talking about dog poop and speeding cars and speed bumps. And that's really unfortunate. So I know the experience that you feel, the frustration that you have felt when you are in the minority. Our relationship, I think, became solidified during the Niagara MDC ordeal because there were those of us that thought cutting a deal with a company that was basically going to make plastic bottles and put our water in it, it wasn't fair to Hartford Hospital to have to pay more for their water to care for our sick when Niagara was getting it at a discount. We just felt wrong. But during that process, we did get to spend a little bit of time together, get to learn a little bit about Stephanie, who loves the beach probably as much as I do. And you're much like Jody, you know, not so much. So maybe you guys can do your thing and Stephanie and I can go hang out at the beach. I'm going to miss your announcements at the end of the meetings when you announce your Northwest Catholic plays, that you could be the understudy because you're always playing some role with your daughter. Like Dallas, you'll be spending more time with your wife. She is a hard worker for Team Republican. I saw her out there this time on the campaign trail. And I have to confess, I did lie to you once. It was not me who wrote the letter to Larson to get your daughter Clara into the Coast Guard. Thank you for her service to our country, and thank you for your service to our town. You are talented. You have a lot to offer, so thanks. It was fun. And I love you. Not as much as Dallas, though.
Thank you, Ms. Kerrigan. Mr. David?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, Chris, I was glad to hear at our last council meeting that it took you 6 years to say that you thoroughly agreed with all my remarks at a zoning hearing. I really appreciate it. That was the highlight of 6 years together. But I will say that during your 6-year tenure on the town council, you have never come to a meeting unprepared. You have never come to a meeting not willing to discuss and debate the issues that may be presented to the council. And during our private executive sessions, your insight is well appreciated and well received. And you've done your service to our community with the highest ethical standards that can be asked of anyone to do that. And I too hold you in high regard for the amount of service you have done on behalf of our community. West Hartford has over 40,000 people eligible to sit at this table, and for some reason we always struggle to find 12 people to run for office. But not only have you done it for the town council, but you've also done it for a state legislative seat. Both you and I had the same result when we attempted, but I think when you lose an election, it makes you a better person and makes you a stronger individual and gives you more reason to try to succeed and to find ways to get along with people and to be more accepting of their ideas. With that said, I would say that about 95% of the time you and I voted the same way. The exception would be the 6 municipal budgets that we didn't vote the same way. But that is still to be respected. It reflects what we came at with different types of views as to what we thought would be in the best interest of our community. And what I'm proud to say this evening is that you came at it as what you believed was in the best interest of our community, and I reached my decisions as to what was in the best interest of the community. Even though we may not have agreed, when the vote was over, we moved on. And we knew that what we needed to do as members of this body, and you have conducted yourself during your entire tenure, was to put West Hartford first, not yourself. And you have shown that the love that you have for your family is genuine. As Beth mentioned, many times you gave shout outs for activities that involved your children. And I know as somebody who has 2 daughters and you have 3, they are part of our essence of being. And you have the proper place. And to your wife, Stephanie, she's been by your side during this entire time. And I thank you for allowing Chris to serve and attend all the meetings that he did, because you did make a difference at this table, and you did raise questions and concerns that gave me pause at time to think and reach conclusions. So as you go forward, I'm certain we will see each other somewhere in town, but I just wish you only the best that life has to offer, and thank you for spending 6 years as an active participant at this table. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. David. Mr. Sweeney.
Mr. Barnes, I think it was on my first week of the council that I remember meeting you and sitting down and you setting a standard of professionalism and dedication, of which really made me want to go back and review what we were reviewing. I remember, I think it was a conference call on the budget, and I don't know if you were, it was actually public safety, and you were calling in, and it was dealing with our favorite conversation about ambulances, but what I remember is despite not being present, and your ability to go through and recall so many things from past scenarios in such a decisive and professional manner really made me think that, one, I'm proud to serve with someone like that who regardless of where you come out, you have to respect your knowledge and the work that you put in. And it just kind of is, once I observed that, I kind of took a step back and just observed you and your family unit, which is something that is truly admirable. As someone who's been in politics for a long time, my wife can tell you it is a family affair. And with you, it absolutely is. And Stephanie, I know she's in the back. We may totally disagree on it, but anyone who's involved in politics understands that it takes a total unit to do it and allow for us to do these things. But it's even better when your family's on board and involved in it. But I think the biggest test or demonstration of your character is your daughters, who I've had the honor of meeting a couple of times. But more so, not only do you talk about service, but you have inspired your daughters to do that. And that, I think, I hope to one day be able to have to leave a legacy with my kids to do things of which they are doing right now. And it is truly admirable what they have been able to accomplish already. And that is because of you and Stephanie. And I think that just goes to show of your day-to-day professionalism, dedication, and service. And while, as has been said, we may not agree, that is totally fine, and this is what this country is all about. But it's also about service, and I've admired your service to this town. I've admired your preaching that to your family, and it's truly an amazing thing to see. And it has been an absolute honor to serve with you. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Mr. Dodge.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think one of the first times that Chris and I sort of sat down with each other was actually during the Yukon purchase. I don't know if you remember. I think the coffee shop, which that whole process was one of the most bizarre, twisty political processes I've ever gone through. And I think that there was, I think at certain points there was some distrust and some concerns, and you and I decided to go sit down at a coffee shop at City Place and just talk it out, one-on-one. And I really, really enjoyed that conversation, just getting to know you finally as a person, talking to you face to face. And one of the things that you brought up was something that Chris talked about tonight, which was how difficult it is being in the minority, where that at the end of the day, typically, the Democrats will have the votes, and whatever arguments you make, it just might not be enough at the end of the day, and how difficult it is to know that, and yet, and you noted this, and I want to say how impressed I have been by this, to still come as prepared as you did every day. I think sometimes at this council table, you were probably the most prepared person on any subject. And so I give you a lot of credit for the difficulty that involved, and to still day in and day out put the work in, put the effort in, and do what was needed. And so I want to let you know how appreciated that was. One thing, both Chris and Chris are litigators, and so I think that sometimes your questions take the form of cross-examination, and you almost feel bad sometimes during hearings because you start it, and people need to come prepared when you're here asking questions, and you might not realize, and I think some people have alluded to it, but more often than not, you actually did move the needle for some of us on this side through your questioning, through your prepared remarks. And so, to the extent, Chris, that you expressed, the concern, that is all this preparation for nothing. It wasn't. You brought new facts to light. You framed stuff in a new way, and you really did change some of our ways of thinking sometimes. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Dodge. Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I have the unenviable task of being the last voice you hear before you give your speech. Oh, you get, oh no, oh, you're right. Oh, so there it goes. I'm feeling repetitive because obviously, we all share the same respect for the work you've done on council. So I'm looking at my remarks, I'm thinking, as we've all had experienced, oh my God, Leon already said it. And in this case, so did Dallas and Liam. So we served together on community planning and physical services. When I got on the committee as chair, and you were on it as the minority member, and immediately proved to be far more knowledgeable about any of this stuff than I could imagine. And I was surprised that you'd only been on council for 2 years at that point. You seemed like a veteran at that point. And I do appreciate, I think you helped me get up to speed Maybe I'm still getting up to speed, but it definitely, I was so impressed to see, wow, he's only been on 2 years, and you had really, you knew your stuff, and. As others just said, you always did your homework. You always came prepared. You had read all the material, and it can at times not be the most exciting committee, despite my efforts to lighten it up. But you were there for it, and everybody who serves on this council, we're all volunteers, and we're all dedicated to the town. But your love for West Hartford just shines through. And when you think we're wrecking it, you tell us. But that's okay, right? Yeah, we got it. We needed to hear that message sometimes, and you'd always deliver it. I will say, a couple times you picked a fight with me. Maybe I did the same thing back. We never slammed the door on each other. We continued the dialogue, and I appreciate that. And so, not to be repetitive, I want to thank you. I want to wish you well. And as we say in the union, solidarity.
Tonight,
Drop the mic, Ben. Drop the mic.
I didn't think any of you guys would have something nice to say
Well,
about me. Hold on. And so, I can't believe you waited 6 years. You kept the secret for
That's what I was
6
gonna
freaking
say.
years
I said,
to say something nice to me. Unbelievable.
You're gonna get your turn in a minute. I said, see, we hide it well. We wait until you leave, and then we
It's like the nicest
share.
thing I've ever heard.
It's true. We hold it in. We hold it in. And
Part about the union?
No.
Solidarity.
So I want to, of course, start by thanking Stephanie and Mary Charlotte, who are here, but Emma and Clara for giving us Chris and letting Chris serve, because he has made a huge difference, as you've already heard. And I won't repeat a lot, but I remember when, I think it was Emma was looking at schools, right? And you were looking at, it was Emma was looking at schools, and you were looking at, and I think you were deciding between Cornell and UConn, right? Was that it? And decided on UConn, and I was so...
She's going to be unhappy that was all mentioned
Oh,
here.
sorry.
That's just who she is.
But she, but how proud you were and are of her and Clara. And I remember I was at the dinner for graduates going into service, and you were sitting there with your family and honoring Clara, and then all that Mary Charlotte does in again the show, what is it, Dancing Lufthansa? Lunasa. Yeah, I want to know how that dance went for you, but anyway, but your pride and your joy of your family, and it shows in the quality of people that you've raised, the most important job, and a job no one else can do. I know you had a fabulous mentor. That's why you got up to speed so quickly, and she's sitting in the audience, Denise Hall. Denise really, I didn't think that, and she works hard, a little harder, I think, but no, I don't know. But I was always so impressed with Denise's preparedness and also her mentoring of her team. She really was a great leader and a really wonderful town councilor, and she still gives back so much. She's an MDC commissioner and also has been on the Fellowship Housing Board, and really continues to give back. So we expect that from you too. But I know that you watched Denise, and I know that you learned a lot from her, and I know that you also stepped in. It was her big shoes to fill, and you stepped in to be that prepared and make us all think about things that we might not have thought about, or that you were challenging and looking at it in a different way, that or a point that you felt was really important to make, and I respect all that. Your first, you've been on every committee, I think. Your first meeting was December in 2013, and Ron reported on a Solarize project, and we were awarded a Bright Ideas grant for $15,000, and we saved the equivalent of emissions from 321 cars from what we had been doing, which is, again, a good 2013. We were doing a lot, and more to be done. We had approved the Jared Jewelers. We authorized the town manager to execute the agreement between the state of Connecticut and the town for the contract on the I-84 improvements, which we just finished this past summer, right? We adjourned the meeting at 8, the meeting was adjourned at 8:10, but Chris had said nothing. So you didn't say anything that meeting.
I don't remember.
No, you didn't, but whatever. That's what the verbatim minutes said, and so we take that. I was
Is this going
impressed.
somewhere good?
No, but that was the last time you never said anything at a meeting. No, I'm teasing, but the first point you made, the first comment you made, which I thought was funny actually, was there a rule or standard in town that we used to time waste collection? You know, what time waste collection can start. So it was we've dealt on so many issues together: Steel Road, medical marijuana, Delamar, outdoor dining for Blueback Square, heliport. Remember the heliport? Ordinance permitting brewery pedicab. Remember how long that hearing went with the pedicab? Alcohol on golf courses. The town manager search, that you were a really important part of that process. New park, density in central business district, obviously the Yukon property, experiential zoning, incentive zoning, entertainment licenses, the food truck park, SMART, which you actually were a really, I think, a strong proponent of trash reduction. Ringgold, Starkle Road, parking ordinance on Weha Center. So a lot of things that you had input into and made significant differences on. And you might not think that you do, as my colleague said, being in the minority, but you did. We heard you, we listened, we didn't always come to the exact same conclusion, but there were changes that were made along the way because of you being at the table. You always voted your conscience, as Mary said. I think that you encouraged that from your colleagues as well. And you sometimes stood alone for what you wanted as well. But we all want the same thing, and I felt it from you. You want West Hartford to thrive. You are committed, you're serious, you're a little quirky, I'd say, and a little dry in your sense of humor, and you would transition, you do transition a lot of you would say, and so, I don't know what if you know that you do that, but whatever. But you also made fun of me, and so I'm going to give it back to you. When we were saying goodbye to Claire Kindle, I had a little acrostic poem for Claire, and you said, oh, I was going to do a little acrostic poem for Claire, so I'd like to hear that, but I have one for you. Chris, conservative. H, so acrostic is each letter of your first name. C, conservative. H, honorable. R, responsible. I, intelligent. And S, slam the door.
That's an inside joke.
Yeah.
So.
So, thank you so much. And here's a little something from me. But you get the big chair, and that's for Dallas, too. They're the same, so. Yes, now, there we go. First we stand, then, you'll stand after. You're not standing again, though. It's a humbling, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, go ahead.
Wow. Yeah, Dallas, difficult, right? And yes, and thank you all for those very kind remarks. It was kind of unexpected, but I do appreciate it.
We hide it.
Yes. What's that?
You need a tissue?
We'll get there. We'll get there. So 6 years ago, around this time, I was sitting out in the audience and waiting to be sworn in, and Steve Adler was the then town councilor, and he was sitting in, I guess, Chris's seat right there. And Steve went on for like an hour. And the whole time I was in the audience looking at him, trying to get his attention, tell him to move it along, because like I wanted to get sworn in, and it was his time to go, because he had served long enough. So it was like trying to get him out the door. And so in that vein, I will try and keep my remarks short, although some of them were probably a little more pointed. I've got my wife texting me from the back telling me to drop all of the pointed stuff that I wanted to share. So this is going to be a heck of a lot shorter than it really was going to be. And for anyone that's heard me speak, you probably expected the other stuff. You may not get most of it because I'll save it for later. So when I approached Stephanie back in 2012 or 2013 and expressed interest in wanting to run for the council, she said, why would you want to do that? And I was like, no, seriously, like I'm interested in getting involved. I was on the risk management committee. I'd met Denise through that process. when I walked into risk management, somebody else that was there said, someday you're going to run for the council. And I said, no, it's a volunteer thing, just, meet every meeting once in a while. And about a year and a half later, I was like, yeah, I think I actually would really enjoy that. And so it took a little convincing. Stephanie agreed. She thought it was a good idea. And from that point forward, my family, as many have mentioned around the table, I think they actually got more airtime than I did here tonight, have been amazing. So supportive. We all talk about the time that it takes to serve and to put in the work to do this job, not only the council meetings, but the subcommittee meetings and the materials. And as Chris mentioned, I remember sitting 4 hours in my law office poring over the MDC charter thinking, what are we doing? Like, why are we doing this? But we did. And we prepared and we had those discussions, but it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of commitment. And so I want to thank Stephanie, my wife, for all of her support and the work that she's done to help me do what I do. To our 3 kids as well, it was hard for them having me at the meetings and not being around, but they certainly loved campaign time. When Saturday morning at breakfast, I would look around the table and said, who's going to get to go walking with Daddy today? And they all took off. And I said, no, somebody's walking in the morning, someone's going to walk in the afternoon, we're going to do the night shift, we're going to get out there and do it. And so they all got out and dropped lit. And they were also good protection when I'd get those doors where people didn't particularly agree with me. I would call the kids over and say, hey, have you met my daughter? And that usually brought the tone down a little bit. So it was nice to have them there. And I'm sure they won't miss being forced to watch some of our meetings on TV, although they gave that up pretty soon into the process. And as I think Dallas mentioned, one of the great things about being involved in politics is the people that you meet and the relationships you develop. And one of those, for me, was my treasurer through my 3 campaigns, Kevin Adams. He lived in town. He's since moved on to Southington. And during that process, we met and we worked together. And he's a young guy, very thoughtful, very hardworking, and just a really good friend. And it's somebody that, all of us, when we look back on the time that we spent, we'll think about the relationships that we formed and the experiences that we had. So thank you to Kevin as well. We've talked a lot about being in the minority. I didn't know you guys recognized how difficult it was being in the minority. Didn't seem to pay much attention to it. Nah. But it is. And every once in a while we had some successes or we influenced, discussions. Some of the things have been mentioned. One of them was certainly the Weiming International School was a large issue in town, and Chris worked just as hard on that. And it was about transparency and openness and letting people in town know, what these ideas were and the direction where we were headed, and to let them have, an understanding of it and to share their views. And I remember Chris and I were interviewed by national media. We talked to people around the country, getting quoted on these issues and doing this research about visa law and international schools and the impact on our community, and looking at the memorandum of understanding and parsing it and thinking about how all of those provisions would play out, and having a chance to talk about that in a large forum in the auditorium, and how it all played out, and how I think one, rewarding it was to be part of that process, but also to let the residents in town know that that's what was being considered. With respect to the Yukon property, we talked about that as well, and certainly we all voted to purchase the property originally until we had a chance to take a look at it. And there were some issues and some current concerns about the property, which raised real concerns. We all spent a lot of time debating them, and we at times disagreed about what the right approach was. I think we ended up in the right place on that issue, and Denise Hall, who is here, worked extensively on that. And Denise and Chris and I spent a lot of time considering those issues and writing about them with editorials to, again, make the public aware of what those issues are or were at the time. And to Denise, a big thank you for being not only a friend but a mentor as well. Somebody mentioned the medical marijuana discussion that we had back in, I think it was 2014, about whether we could zone a grow facility or a dispensary in town. The state had approved it. There was some question about whether home rule would allow for us to, create either a grandfather provision or a zoning restriction on keeping those types of businesses out of our community. We debated it till about 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning. When I got home, having come up on the wrong side of that discussion, or the other side, I decided to stay up and watch it again. So I took those 5 hours to watch it and then get ready for work. And the first person that called me about 8 o'clock was Denise, and she said, "How are you doing?" I said, I feel pretty crappy. Yeah, lost the discussion and, watched it again. And she was just there, and she knew what I was going through. And she listened, and she said, sometimes you come up on the wrong side or the other side of the issue. And, as long as you articulate your position and you try and convince people, that's the best we can do. And I think, that's what I've tried to do for 6 years. So thank you, Denise. We had, there were some other issues we dealt with. We dealt with the MDC, Chris and I poring over the charter. We had issues about supplemental car tax that we debated and ultimately agreed was something that we wouldn't send as a holiday present to our residents in December of 2017. We saved that gift to later the following year when we increased it. But we worked on a toll resolution, a no tolls resolution, a number of months ago, and that's been certainly a topic of conversation here in town. It looks like maybe the issue may not be going forward. You never know how it's going to go, but Mary Fay here worked very hard on that resolution, the no tolls resolution, and following that issue, and it's been a pleasure to work with you on the council, so thank you for your service. Chris, those remarks were over the top. There were some stories I'm glad you didn't share, quite frankly, but I've loved serving with you for 4 years. You are a great friend. I have learned a lot from you as well. And when you work with people that, they're always the people that always show up, right? It's never the excuse, I can't make it, or I'm busy, or I'm doing something else. They're these people that you work with that say, yeah, what do you need? Or what are we going to do? Or I'll write it first, we'll edit it, we'll get it done. It's got to be done tomorrow. Yeah, we'll get it done. It's not, I've got to do something else. And Chris is one of those people. He works hard, is diligent, works with residents all the time, is out in front of tough issues all the time, takes a lot of heat for those positions. And it's not easy being in the minority and taking unpopular positions in this chamber with the press and everybody that's involved, and having the courage to be able to make those arguments and take those positions. So thank you, Chris. It's been a pleasure. So some successes, some challenges. Obviously, the budget coming up short. It's disappointing that we haven't been able to move the needle on that, although it's interesting as I look back at my 6 budget nights and look back 10 additional years, we're still talking about the same issues, the same things, the same pressures that we face in town, and they're things that we need, obviously, to get a handle on moving forward as we face more and more economic challenges, so we can keep the town as affordable as we can for the folks that want to live here, raise a family here, and retire here. And that is a very, very big challenge. And so those are my watered down remarks.
Thank you.
And so
Why do you
you're
think
welcome.
we make nice comments?
Right. You caucused about this. I know. I know. So finally, let's get some thank yous out here besides family and some staff. So thank you to Ron Van Winkle, who was a great mentor and friend as well. I remember sitting in that first meeting. I don't recall not asking a question, but I remember Ron, within 2 minutes into the meeting, stopping whatever the report was and saying, "Chris, do you know what that is?" And I said, "No, I don't know what that is." And he said, "Well, let's unpack that. Let's talk about it." And that's just the way he was. He just, brought everybody along and made sure everybody knew where we were going. To Matt Hart, thank you for your service and welcome to West Hartford. Thank you to all of the directors. Some of you may not like me. I hope we can have a better relationship now that I'm leaving. But I have a tremendous amount of respect for all of you and the work that you do. I wish a little of our political will convince you to do some different things, but that's just the way it goes. But I can say that the directors in town do an outstanding job. Thank you to my Democrat colleagues for all of your service, past and present, and thank you for reference to the door slamming remark. That was a highlight for me, for sure. Thank you to Burke Dorr, who I also served with for 2 years, my first 2 years on the council. I remember Burke could never pronounce anybody's name correctly. He struggled, like even with his own name, I think he couldn't get right. But he was a guy that could just look at something and just get it. There's some people that have to study and prepare. Burke just got it. He would listen to it and he would understand, and it was a pleasure serving with him as well. And so now, as I conclude, thank you to the residents of West Hartford for the opportunity to serve on the town council. It's been my honor to serve you. I worked hard, and I considered each issue as an independent thinker, not beholden to anyone, to party, to groups, but always what was in the best interest of the folks in our town, in our community. That was always the guiding star for me, and I hope that that's come across during my 6 years of service. Congratulations to Lee and to Carol. Welcome to the town council. I hope you enjoy it and find it as fulfilling as I have over these last 6 years. It's been great. Good luck to the new council, and I will leave it at that. Thank you. Thank you.
It's very dark in that corner. Sorry. Anyway.
Chris, Ronnie needs us to sit in the chairs.
What's that?
Okay, so can you sit in your chair? They got Leah? Oh, those chairs. Sorry. I was misunderstood. Goodbye. Thank you both.
Yeah,
You don't. Oh.
I got dressed with you in mind.
Okay.
I'll text you.
All right. So now we're going to go to new business as we regather ourselves here. And Ms. LeBreau, certification of election of counselors in town election, November 5th, 2019, and presentation of certificates to each counselor. So, I'm sorry, Carol and Lee, come on up. Lee, you're sitting here. Carol, you're where Dallas was, I think. Welcome.
I leave 4. Good.
This is what we do after the pledge. We do that, okay? But we're not doing the pledge now. Okay? So,
Sit.
all right.
You can sit. You can sit.
Being at church when you haven't been there for a long time, okay?
Okay. I, S.C. LeBreau, Town Clerk of the Town of West Hartford, hereby certify that the following persons were elected to the West Hartford Town Council for a term from November 19th, 2019 to November 16th, 2021, and they are Carol Blanks, Sherry Cantor, Leon Davidoff, Mary Fay, Lee Gold, Beth Kerrigan, Liam Sweeney, Ben Winograd, and Chris Williams. I further testify that the results of the town election were canvassed and attested to by our town head moderator, Kenneth Rousseau, and the results have been recorded in the electors' meeting book of the town of West Hartford. Now, can I ask you to come forward to take the oath? I don't know if some of you remember when President Obama first took the oath, the Chief Justice that was giving the oath made a mistake because he didn't write it down, but I wrote them down. So it won't happen here. Raise your right hands, please. Do you solemnly swear or sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that you will faithfully discharge, according to law, your duties as a member of the West Hartford Town Council to the best of your abilities, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury? Congratulations.
Thank you, Essie. Okay, all set. All right, so now we get to the nominations. I'm calling for a nomination. First of all, welcome. Nice to have you all here as counselors. Call for the nomination of president of the council.
Second.
No, we're going to take the nomination. So, Ben Winograd, Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am honored and very excited to nominate Sherry Cantor to continue to serve as mayor of West Hartford. However, the frustrating thing about speaking in praise of Sherry is realizing how much needs to be left out. There simply isn't enough time to cover everything she contributes to this town. I can't leave out the 15 years of tireless work as a council member. Deputy mayor and mayor services that has been characterized by her intelligence, fierce advocacy for the citizens of West Hartford, and dedication to building a community of which we could all be proud. I shouldn't forget to mention her innovative creation of our complete streets policy, a groundbreaking innovation that continues year after year to make West Hartford a more pedestrian and bike-friendly place. And how could I not mention her financial acumen and the fact that our town's enviable reputation as a great place in which to live or invest is in no small part due to the knowledge and leadership she has demonstrated on our finance committee. And I better include her wonderful family, her husband Michael, her 4 sons and a daughter-in-law, and her mother still living in her childhood home. I can't even describe the joy and pride I saw on her face as she danced with her daughter at the mayor's ball. And if I mention all that, I might skip over her athletic prowess, winning road races and doing cartwheels down Park Road, or her kindness and compassion, literally feeding people forced out of their homes during the storm known as Alfred, as she brought food and served it at the shelters, and more recently bringing toys and earplugs to Red Cross shelters after a recent fire, or her outreach to the growing and vibrant Nepalese community, just for one example. And especially, if I say all that, I don't want to forget to thank her for her moral leadership. Time after time, as tragedies or political outrages force us as a community to face evils head-on and comfort and protect each other, Sherry is there. Her ability to bring the community together for the Sandy Hook tribute, or to honor and memorialize the victims at the Tree of Life in Pittsburgh just over a year ago, is simply unrivaled. And getting back to her work in this room, that leadership allowed us as a council to unanimously pass a plea for national common sense gun legislation that was quickly adopted by other towns as a model for local action. I know that one I won't forget. And we saw it tonight again with another tragedy and another just heartfelt statement from our mayor. I'm so proud of you every time that happens. And unfortunately, it happens a lot. And now that I've almost finished with my remarks, I know that I've left out so much. So let me just conclude by saying that as a friend, an admirer, and a very proud colleague, I am grateful for this opportunity and hopeful that this body will support my nomination of Sherry Cantor for Mayor of West Hartford.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you. Is there a second?
Yes,
Ms.
there is a
Blanks.
second.
Ms. Blanks.
I also have the honor and the privilege to second the nomination for Sherry Cantor for president of this West Hartford Council. Sherry works tirelessly to improve West Hartford. Our local economy is stronger. We've earned a AAA bond rating. Sherry Cantor is everywhere in this town, ribbon cutting for new businesses, working with our seniors, partnering with our school district. Her intent is to keep our town as one of the most desirable communities to reside in. She is smart, gracious, reliable, prepared, and is ready to lead at every moment. It is my honor to second the nomination for Sherry Cantor as president for this council.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Blanks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Nomination for vice president. Ms. Blanks.
I nominate Leon Davidoff as vice president of the West Hartford Town Council. Leon's commitment to our community runs deep. He has served on the town council for 12 years. He is very knowledgeable about our services. He is an experienced and compassionate advocate. Leon is often referred to as a statesman because he is well respected and makes good judgments. Actively engages in conducting business of government and shaping policies. It is my honor to nominate Leon Davidoff as vice president for this council.
Thank you, Ms. Blanks. Motion's been made. Nomination's been made. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion. Is that technically, yes, okay, all right. 2 abstentions. All right, and we will go to appointment of town clerk. Ms. Kerrigan, want to make a motion to appoint?
Well, I do believe as the new deputy mayor, congratulations. This is your role, so I don't know if you want to do it from there, you want to move here, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay, you can stay where we are, but
No, it's okay.
Leanne,
As
make the
new
motion.
deputy mayor, I think it's important that you take the role on. Congratulations. I think you know how sad I am, but congratulations. You'll do a fine job.
I move that we appoint Essie LeBreau as clerk of the council.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Number 2F, Mr. Davidoff, adoption of temporary rules.
I move adoption of the temporary rules.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. And G is appointment of the Rules Committee. Where's my list? I move that we place myself as chair, Leon Davidoff, and Lee Gold on the Rules Committee.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. And now, council committees. I am going to go through, this is a little bit interesting, because this is not, I was looking back at the minutes, and this has not happened in a while. We actually are revising our council committees, but because we have a change in leadership, and the Rules Committee has not met yet, we don't have the new committee assignments, and I will talk about the reason for that and the new committee assignments. But the old committee assignments, so we can keep doing business, will go as follows. Administration and Technology Committee, Chair Lamb Sweeney, Ben Wenograd, Mary Fay. Rules Committee, we just did. Finance and Budget Committee, Leon Davidoff, Chair, Lamb Sweeney, Lee Gold. Education Liaison Committee, Sherry Cantor, Chair, Carol Blanks, Chris Williams. Human Services Committee, Lamb Sweeney, Chair, Ben Wenograd, Mary Fay. Government Liaison Committee, Beth Kerrigan, Chair, Sherry Cantor, Chris Williams. Community Planning and Services, Physical Services Committee, Ben Wenograd, Chair, Carol Blanks, Mary Fay. And then Public Safety Committee, Carol Blanks, Chair, Leon Davidoff, and Chris Williams. And the Economic Ad Hoc Committee, Sherry Cantor, Chair, Beth Kerrigan, and Lee Gold. So I will make that motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Resolution adopting amendments to standing rules of the Town Council for 2019-2021 term. So this would be the new configuration of the committees. And so they are going to be a little bit realigned, and we can go into more depth at another time, but Administration Technology is folding into another couple committees, but the focus of some of this was to align, to have them be more comprehensive, to have focus on obviously financial and administration, which includes technology, to see how we can streamline things, but also Public Works and Facilities, Human and Community Services Committee to put housing initiatives in there, Public Health and Historic Preservation as part of that committee, Governmental Affairs Committee to put more of an emphasis of close coordination on advocacy, bringing the bodies together, having a more focused approach. And the big change is Community Planning and Economic Development Permanent Committee, aligning and overseeing planning and zoning, code performance, and economic development. So there is a more targeted focus on economic development. But that's a lot on that little line, but all those, so I made a motion?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Resolution rescheduling the December 10th, 2019 council meeting. I'll make the motion. Motion's been made.
To
two. I'm sorry?
Madam Mayor, item 2I.
J?
I'm sorry, no, I.
Okay.
I'm looking over
Oh,
my
I'm sorry.
glasses. You need to refer to the
referral,
Rules
yes.
Committee.
I'm sorry. Right. That needs to make a motion. We refer to Rules Committee.
Second.
Motion's been made a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And to J, resolution rescheduling the December 10th, 2019 council meeting.
To December 16th, 2019.
Okay.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. And K, Mr. Davidoff.
Resolution setting the town council meeting dates as submitted. So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. And just, so this, we really are done with all the meat and potatoes of the meeting. I just have a little charge that we do at the end of this, because we have this new group here, and we have important work to do. I want to also just give a very big thank you to my incredibly patient, wonderful, beautiful mom, 91-year-old mother. She often we've had plans, I've had to change them, she's been patiently waiting, oftentimes, and I'm just so appreciative of her love and her support. I have an amazing, loving, patient, encouraging, caring husband who takes incredible care of me, gives me the strength and support for everything I do. I could not do it without you. I love you very much. All my 4 sons have put up with me being gone for a long, long, long time. And my kids cook because I think I haven't been around as much, I think, sometimes at night. But one of my 4 sons is here, Ben Cantor, and his girlfriend Trish. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support and help. I love you, and I appreciate you being here so much. I'm honored and privileged to be mayor of this special, caring, and a highly engaged community. I want to thank Chris and Dallas for, I don't know if they're in the house, but it has been an honor, as you've all heard, to work with them. And I want to congratulate Carol and Lee, and I'm so excited to have you as colleagues and hopefully as good friends as we work together. Thank you to Carol's family, husband Charles, Shannon, Cynthia, and Kay, and Lee's family, Monica, and their 2 sons, Jack and Adam. It is a commitment and a sacrifice that we all make to serve. Thank you all at the table and all of your families that are in the audience for, again, the commitment and sacrifice that you give us to make this town so wonderful. I am self-aware that I am not the most patient person. I frankly sat in the town manager's office and cried before the election that why should I do this, because more hasn't been done in the last 2 years. And I think I drive him a little crazy. But I know in government, things take time, and you have to get them right. We are one of the top-ranked communities because of our staff and because of the professional way they handle themselves and because of the thoughtful processes they take. And sometimes things do take time. We really are special. We have the highest we are ranked highly by all independent measures. We have the highest quality public safety. We have some of the best schools in the country. Just this week, Newsweek named our schools the best STEM schools in America, top 500. An amazing achievement for diverse public schools that are not devoted specifically to STEM. That's, in case you don't know, science, technology, engineering, and math. We have remarkable quality, high-quality community services that serve so many different people in our community. I am humbled to build on the great leadership that has preceded me. We will continue our commitment to affordability, to sustainability, to bicycle and friendly town, 10-minute walk campaign, which improves lives and reduces stress and increases health. We are going to build on all of those wonderful things. We're proposing, as I said, in the Rules Committee, and I'm just going to expand on it a little bit. Matt and I believe that the changes and realignment of the committees will better reflect our current and future needs. We are going to focus more acutely on economic development. The Government Affairs Committee, which will be charged with more engagement, comprehensive interactions, and advocacy, normally is chaired by the mayor, but Beth Kerrigan will be chairing that. And for the first time in a very long time, I will not be chairing the Finance Committee. Leon Davidoff will. This is quite a commitment. He had 6 years on the committee, experience on the committee. It's a demanding and important role, and I know he has the knowledge and the expertise to do it. But I will be chairing our new Community Planning and Economic Development Committee, committed to and aligning planning, zoning, and development. We want to recognize the significant impact the arts have on economic development and the vibrancy that this brings to our community. We also want to build on and focus on the livability in our community, bringing people together in different spaces and places. That's all about building community. This is an important time to build on all the previous development that we've had in our vibrant commercial centers from Bishop's Corner to Corbin's Corner, including connecting 2 of our large town centers. We have great opportunities ahead of us, but we have to be ahead and make sure that we are on top of national and local trends. Things are changing fast, and if we don't plan and think, if we stand still, you lose the race. So we need to keep moving forward. This community is a vibrant, thriving, desirable, and sustainable community, and my mission is to keep it that way. Creating sustainable community is like moving into a home with unique, lovely features and regularly maintaining that home. The home has certain features that deteriorate. We polish them. We prevent them from getting damaged. We repair our home on a regular maintenance schedule. Our home, though, is our town, our nation, our planet Earth. This is by Pamela T. Couture on child poverty, love, and justice. And that is our mission, to keep this community special, to take care of each other, and bring and carry it forward to the next generation even better than we had it. And with that, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Good night. Thank you.